All right, 916. So this is our second video here, building from a schematic. And this time I'm going to tackle number 14, the DC to DC power supply. Now, I just want to quick explain the schematic down here real quick. If you look to the right-hand side, you'll see it says output. So what we're doing right now with this is we're just breadporting this, which is not very exciting. But what this is meant to do, of course, via the name here, is it's meant to supply power to something else. So that's what this output here is. So these two wires that just kind of hang off of here, you don't have to do anything with right now. But later on in the course, we're going to build this circuit again, and we're going to power a motor. And you could power just about anything with this. But that's what it's meant to do, is to power something else. So all you're going to do is put this LED and this resistor in here right now just to verify that the circuit works. But we're not really powering anything at this time. So I've done the same thing as last time. I got all my materials together. I got a 6.8K resistor here, which is a blue, gray, red. And then I called for a 220, which is a red, red, brown. And once again, we're using our 3904 that we used last time. So let's take a look at the schematic and start out here. So again, we're coming from the positive of the battery, and the positive of the battery leads to two things. It leads to this R3, which again, I know is the potentiometer because it's got that arrow right there. And it also leads to the in pin of Q1. So let's take our positive battery snap and just push that into the breadboard here somewhere. I'm going to take this time the potentiometer is kind of that way. So I'm going to take this guy and put that in here. And now I'm going to come back and take a look at the schematic again. I can see that I have the center of the potentiometer goes to the center of my transistor. Now I want to caution you, the transistor isn't shown horizontally in the schematic this time, not vertically. But if I take my transistor and I put it in the breadboard horizontally, all three legs are in the same row, and so it's shorted out. That's not going to work. So I need to still put it vertically so that I am in a different row for each leg. Okay, so I'm going to take the second pin of my potentiometer. I'm going to plug that into the center. And I still need to connect the power to the first pin that we see over here. We got power coming around the first pin. So I'm just going to use a jumper for that. So I'm just going to go from here to the first pin. Something like that. I'm going to kind of tuck this out of the way. Okay, so now let's look at the rest of the circuit here. Coming out of our out pin of the transistor, we've got a wire, and that's running into R1, and they kind of stepped it down here for some reason. I'm not real sure why, but it's coming into R1, and it's coming into the LED. So we've got two things coming off this out pin of the transistor. So R1 is the 6.8. So I'm going to grab the 6.8 and I'm going to put that on the out pin right there. And I'm going to take my LED and I'm going to put the long leg on the out pin just behind it right there. And now we come back over here, and you can see the LED is also connected to R2, and if we follow R2 back, it connects to the end of R1 here. So I'm just going to take this resistor and go from the LED to the other leg of this resistor. So I'm going to go right there, and then I'm just going to bring this over here and put it in the same row as this resistor here. And now if I take a look at that over here on the schematic, this all travels back to the other leg of my R3, which I still have hanging right here. So I'm just going to put that in the breadboard like right there, and I'm going to run a jumper from there to here, just kind of connecting that. And then again, if we come back and look at the schematic one last time, this travels back around to the negative of the battery snap. So I'm going to take my negative and I'm going to put that in the same row right there. And I've got something like this. Now, let's plug in our battery and see if it works. Turn that on, and There we go. I twist the potentiometer. You can see the LED gets brighter and dimmer, which is really similar to the potentiometer lab that we did at the beginning of the book. Obviously, this is a little bit more involved because it has a transistor in it. But again, that's because it's meant to be a DC to DC power supply to power something else, which we'll do later on. So hopefully you can go back in the video and follow that and pause that and stop that, and you can get something breadboard that looks similar to this. Good luck.